Have you ever felt that gut-wrenching fury when someone's petty power grab endangers someone you love? Picture this. Your emergency radio crackles with news that an ambulance racing to save your spouse is being blocked from your neighborhood because it might clash with the community's aesthetic. What would you do if the only thing standing between life-saving care and your partner was someone brandishing an HOA rulebook like it trumped the law? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'm Michael Sullivan, and for 20 years, I've poured my life into emergency services. 3 months ago, I became Fire Chief of Columbia County, Florida, relocating with my wife, Caroline, to the polished gated enclave of Palm Harbor Estates. The move promised a fresh chapter, a stunning home in a pristine community, offering the eatsies of security and accessibility Caroline, who's battled multiple sclerosis for 5 years, increasingly relies on. What the realtor conveniently glossed over was that living in Palm Harbor meant bowing to the iron rule of Victoria Wellington, a woman who wielded HOA guidelines like sacred edicts handed down from on high. If you're new here, hit that like button and subscribe to join our community of folks fighting back against overzealous HOA tyrants. I've spent my career running toward danger while others flee. From a volunteer firefighter at 18, I climbed the ranks: firefighter, lieutenant, captain, and assistant fire chief in Sarasota County. When Columbia County offered me the fire chief role, it was the pinnacle of decades of grit and passion, a chance to lead a department and roll out safety protocols I'd honed for years. The timing felt perfect. Caroline's MS was worsening, and Palm Harbor's single-story homes, wide doorways, and accessible amenities seemed tailor-made for her mobility needs. Just 15 minutes from the county's top medical center, the hefty price tag felt worth it for a safe, accommodating haven where Caroline could retain as much independence as possible. Caroline and I met 12 years ago during a minor kitchen fire at the elementary school where she taught 3rd grade. Amid chaos, she stayed calm, ensuring every student was safe before addressing her own mild smoke inhalation. I asked her out for coffee the next day, and we've been inseparable since. Her warmth, compassion, and quiet strength, qualities that shone even brighter after her MS diagnosis, captured my heart. We loved hiking, kayaking, and cycling together, but subtle signs emerged. Fatigue after rides, dropped items, tingling in her fingers, she chalked up to years of grading papers. 5 years ago, a neurologist confirmed multiple sclerosis, a progressive, autoimmune disease attacking her nervous system. Some days, she moved almost normally. Others, she relied on a wheelchair. As good days dwindled, she left teaching, but found new purpose tutoring students from home and volunteering with the MS Society when her health allowed. "I can't control what MS takes," she'd say, "but I can control how I respond." This fire chief job offered a chance to find a home suited to her needs. Palm Harbor seemed ideal. Accessible homes, a community pool, and proximity to medical care. The $450 monthly HOA fees stung, but we trusted the perks would justify it. We should have heeded the red flags. The realtor boasted about the county's strictest community standards, and the 100-page HOA handbook dictated everything from approved paint shades to grass height, 2.5 inches max. Victoria Wellington, the HOA president, was the self-proclaimed keeper of Palm Harbor's prestige. In her mid-60s, with immaculate silver hair and perpetually pinched lips, she patrolled with a tablet, logging violations with the zeal of a parking cop. We met Victoria during a preliminary approval for new residents at the community clubhouse. Behind a daunting desk, she eyed us with a smile that never touched her eyes. "Chief and Mrs. Sullivan," she began, flipping through a dossier already stuffed with our details. "We're delighted to welcome such esteemed residents. Palm Harbor upholds the highest standards in Columbia County." Her gaze lingered on Caroline's wheelchair. "I see you have special needs. We allow medical accommodations, though we prefer discreet modifications." The word "prefer" carried a clear mandate. "My wife requires full accessibility," I said. "We've reviewed the HOA rules and have plans that meet both Caroline's needs and your standards." Victoria's smile tightened. Our architectural review is rigorous. Palm Harbor's aesthetic has been flawless for 15 years under my guidance. Caroline, ever the peacemaker, chimed in. We value community standards and want to collaborate on solutions. Victoria nodded, seemingly satisfied. As long as we all understand the rules, protect property values and resident experience. We left uneasy but optimistic, believing clear communication could bridge any gaps. We were mistaken. Trouble hit days after moving in. Our first need, a wheelchair ramp at the front entrance, was denied by Victoria herself. It disrupts the streetscape's harmony, her letter read, suggesting a side or rear entry instead. I appealed, explaining that sidelining someone with MS was impractical and degrading. After weeks of wrangling, she approved a costly, narrower ramp than we'd proposed. Then came the parking clash. We'd converted our garage for Caroline's therapy equipment, parking our medical transport van in the driveway. One Sunday, Victoria appeared with a citation. Commercial vehicles can't park in driveways. It creates an unsightly atmosphere. I clarified. It's a personal vehicle with a wheelchair lift for my wife. Her smile was icy. Bylaws classify any vehicle with visible specialized equipment as commercial. $250 daily fine. I countered, the ADA protects our right to accommodations. She shot back, the ADA doesn't override the contracts you signed. Some residents with special needs find communities with looser standards more suitable. It was the first of many hints we should leave. Over weeks, Victoria zeroed in on us. Citations for a medical alert button by our pool, unapproved fixture, and wheelchairs on our patio. Recreational equipment must be hidden. Each time, I responded with legal citations and medical necessity. Each time, she found a loophole to keep harassing us. As the only residents with visible medical gear, we stuck out, clashing with her vision of Palm Harbor as a flawless showcase of wealth and vigor. Her selective enforcement stung. Our neighbor George parked his golf cart overnight. Same rule, no fine. A family across the street had an unapproved basketball hoop. Ignored. Yet our every move was under her microscope. Neighbors shared tales of Victoria's tyranny, but admitted they'd given up fighting, staying under her radar. Victoria had ruled the HOA for 15 years, unopposed, because no one dared challenge her. Roger Thompson, the HOA vice president and a retired attorney, was a rare voice of reason. At a pool party, he confided, Victoria means well, protecting the community's value, but she lacks compassion. His moderation was drowned out by Victoria's boardroom dominance. Despite this, we settled in. I tackled modernizing the fire department's outdated systems, while Caroline joined an MS support group and blogged about life with a disability. Neighbors, embarrassed by Victoria, were too scared to confront her. Then came the day everything changed. It was a Wednesday, and I was at the fire station analyzing response times. Gated communities like Palm Harbor were problematic due to access issues. At 2:17 p.m., a call shattered my focus. Caroline, home alone, had a severe MS flare-up, numbness, vision issues, slurred speech. She dialed 911. The dispatcher alerted me as paramedic Jason Martinez, a seasoned pro with a calming presence, raced to our home. I was sprinting to my SUV when Jason's voice crackled over the radio. Chief, we've got a problem at Palm Harbor Estates. They're refusing us entry at the gate. My heart froze. Refusing entry? It's a 911 call. Yes, sir, Jason replied. A woman claiming to be the HOA president says we're violating rules on commercial vehicles during daytime. Odd hours? I was floored. Put her on. After a shuffle, Victoria's clipped voice came through. This is Victoria Wellington, Palm Harbor Estates HOA president. Miss Wellington, Fire Chief Sullivan here. That ambulance is for my wife's medical emergency. Let it through now. Her tone didn't waver. I understand, Chief, but our bylaws prohibit commercial or emergency vehicles from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. without board approval, except for fires. It maintains our residents' tranquility. Tranquility, I snapped. My wife has MS and can't move. This is an exception. Medical transport isn't listed as an exception, she countered. If it's urgent, perhaps your wife could come to the gate, or you could use a private vehicle to avoid disturbing the community with sirens. Her suggestion, that Caroline, potentially paralyzed and incoherent, should drag herself to the gate, was so absurd it left me speechless. I was already speeding toward Palm Harbor, lights blazing. Miss Wellington, that ambulance is entering now. If you block it, you'll be removed and charged with obstruction. No need for threats, she said coolly. I'm enforcing rules you agreed to. Your position doesn't grant special privileges. I cut the call, hands trembling with fear for Caroline, and fury at Victoria's heartless obsession with standards over a life. In 20 years, I'd faced locked doors, dangerous scenes, even hostile crowds, but never someone deliberately barring an ambulance over neighborhood aesthetics. When I reached Palm Harbor's Grand Gate, the scene was worse than I'd feared. Victoria had parked her sleek sedan to block the ambulance, standing beside it, arms crossed, HOA binder displayed like a trophy. The gate guard, Frank, looked uneasy, but hadn't defied her. A crowd of residents had formed, some filming, others arguing. Roger Thompson, the HOA vice president, was pleading, Victoria, this is an emergency. The rules don't apply here. Rules are rules, Roger, she shot back. If we bend them, we'll have delivery trucks claiming emergency status next. I stormed out of my SUV in full fire chief gear as Victoria lectured the paramedics about proper channels. Ms. Wellington, I barked, move your car now. She turned, irritation flashing before recognition set in. Chief Sullivan, I understand your concern, but Palm Harbor has standards. My wife's life is at stake, I cut in. Every second you waste could cause permanent damage. Move. Your car. She didn't budge. The rules apply to everyone, Chief. Your position doesn't... This isn't about my position. I roared. You're committing a felony by obstructing emergency services under Florida law. The crowd grew. Someone yelled, Let them through, Victoria! A retired nurse stepped forward. An MS flare can cause lasting damage without prompt treatment. This isn't about rules, it's about a life. Victoria's jaw clenched. I sympathize with Mrs. Sullivan, but you don't, I snapped, done with her games. Or you wouldn't be preaching about aesthetics while my wife suffers. Roger intervened. Victoria, let the ambulance through. This is an HOA emergency. Her face reddened. The bylaws clearly... I don't care about your bylaws, I shouted. Florida Statute 843-2 makes obstructing emergency personnel a crime. If Caroline suffers because of you, I'll ensure you face the maximum penalty. Roger turned to the guard. Frank, open the gate. Emergency vehicles have priority. Section E12, paragraph 3 of the bylaws. Frank, relieved, sprang into action. Victoria's mouth flapped silently. And if that car isn't moved in 10 seconds, I added, it'll be towed and impounded. My glare must have convinced her I meant it. She lurched her sedan aside, and the gates swung open. The ambulance roared through, me tailing close. Victoria, undeterred, followed in her car, binder still in hand. At home, Jason's team was already inside. Caroline lay on the bedroom floor, conscious but dazed, her right side unresponsive. She'd collapsed trying to reach the bathroom. My legs just stopped, she whispered. I knelt beside her as the paramedics worked. You're okay now, love. We're here. Trouble at the gate? She asked, always thinking of others. Nothing to worry about, I said, though Victoria's actions burned in my mind. Jason's assessment was grim. Significant weakness, slurred speech, vision issues, classic acute MS exacerbation. We need her to the hospital for IV steroids. As they prepped Caroline, Victoria appeared in our doorway, Roger trailing with an apologetic look. Chief Sullivan, she began, While I understand today's situation, emergency vehicles in the driveway violate Section 8.4. Ms. Wellington, I said, voice low and lethal, my wife is in crisis. If you mention HOA rules in my home again, I'll have you arrested. Clear? Roger gently pulled her away. Let's go, Victoria. This isn't the time. As they left, I heard her hiss. He can't speak to me like that. I'm the HOA president. Roger snapped, and he's the fire chief whose wife you endangered. We need an emergency board meeting. The next days revolved around Caroline. Her flare was severe. Any longer delay could have worsened the damage. Her neurologist, Dr. Patel, was blunt. Time is critical in exacerbations. The delay likely increased inflammation and nerve damage. What was this about ambulance access? I explained Victoria's stunt, and Dr. Patel shook her head. I've fought HOAs over accommodations, but blocking emergency access? That's a new low. From her hospital bed, Caroline gripped my hand. Don't let this eat you, Michael. I see you plotting revenge. Not revenge, I said. Justice and prevention. This could happen to anyone in Palm Harbor. Next time, it might be a heart attack where seconds decide life or death. Once Caroline stabilized, I tackled Victoria's systemic threat. As fire chief, I had the duty to ensure unobstructed emergency access county-wide. I consulted the county attorney, who confirmed Victoria's actions were criminal under Florida law. HOA rules be damned. I launched a safety audit of Palm Harbor, uncovering shocking violations, fire code breaches, tight turning radii for emergency vehicles, and inaccessible hydrants, all greenlit by Victoria's committee, ignoring county standards. Worse, Palm Harbor hadn't submitted emergency access protocols for state-mandated review, operating solely on Victoria's whims. I called a meeting with the HOA board, county commissioners, and emergency services. Victoria arrived late, expecting to dominate. Instead, she faced a united front of safety officials and rattled board members. Palm Harbor has critical violations endangering every resident, I began, projecting photos and documents. Most alarming, 3 days ago, emergency services were blocked from a 911 call. I played the radio exchange and resident footage. Out of Victoria's blockade. Board members shifted uncomfortably. Victoria interjected, That's unfair. I was enforcing community guidelines Chief Sullivan agreed to. Commissioner Davis leaned forward. Are you saying HOA bylaws outrank I? State law? Of course not, she stammered. But there are channels for exceptions. Davis looked stunned. When seconds matter? Roger cleared his throat. The board didn't approve restricting emergency access. That was Victoria's call. I slid a document forward. Florida Statute 843.02. Obstructing emergency personnel is illegal. Had my wife been harmed further, it'd be criminal negligence. I detailed each violation's deadly risks. Victoria grew defensive. The board, alarmed. Palm Harbor has 30 days to fix these violations, I concluded, or the county will step in. I urge adopting a state-compliant emergency access policy. The board voted unanimously, Victoria dissenting, to overhaul guidelines and address violations. Victoria tried one last jab. This is Chief Sullivan's vendetta over property disputes. Don't let his authority sway you, Roger, silent till now, spoke. Victoria, I saw you block medical aid. This isn't about authority. It's about decency and safety. I move for an emergency vote on HOA leadership. The motion passed before Victoria could protest. Word spread fast. Residents, long cowed by Victoria's reign, found their courage. Stories poured out, denied medical ramps, fined handrails, harassed cancer patients. The community rallied for safety and accessibility. At a forum, Victoria arrived with a lawyer, but residents' testimonies, handrails fined, ramps cited, medical vans targeted, drowned her consistent enforcement defense. 2 weeks later, Victoria was ousted as HOA president by a landslide. Roger taking her place. His first act, apologizing to Caroline and me, approving our accessibility modifications. "The rules serve the community," he vowed, "not vice versa." Under Roger's leadership, the HOA launched a safety and accessibility committee, including residents with disabilities and medical needs. Rigid architectural rules were reworked to prioritize function over form. Gate guards were trained too. Grant emergency vehicles instant access, no exceptions. 6 months later, Palm Harbor earned county praise as a beacon of emergency preparedness and inclusivity. The community newsletter splashed Caroline on its cover, celebrating her role in the new Accessibility Advisory Committee. She channeled her ordeal into advocacy, partnering with the MS Society to guide communities on accessibility. Her blog, chronicling life with MS and HOA battles, amassed a loyal following among those facing similar fights. At a community barbecue, marking these shifts, Roger raised a glass. To the Sullivans, who showed us a community's strength lies not in its polish, but in its care for the vulnerable. Caroline, beside me in her wheelchair, squeezed my hand. "Not how we plan to make friends," she whispered with a grin. "No," I chuckled. "But the toughest battles spark the best change." As a fire chief, I've tackled countless crises, but none taught me more about the perils of unchecked power, or the power of standing firm, than watching my wife's ambulance blocked from our own community. Rules matter, but when they're weapons, not tools for good, they turn deadly. If you believe emergency services should never be stalled by power-hungry HOA leaders, like this video, and subscribe to HOA Revenge. We share real stories of resisting. HOA Tyranny Daily. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.